Chapter 1593. The same rune, different effects. Lin Moyu stood in mid-air, looking down. His gaze swept over Lu Ji, whose breath was already very weak. The physical injuries were minor. The key issue was the trauma to his soul. There was a flow of life laws on his body, indicating he had been treated, but the effect was minimal. At most, it could only temporarily maintain his condition, unable to completely heal him. The human race had no good means to treat soul injuries. However, Lin Moyu could see that Lu Ji wouldn't die immediately. His attention shifted to the rune blade in Wang Xing's hand. The rune blade looked like a curved short knife, emitting a unique power belonging to runes. The blade also exuded an ancient aura, carrying a sense of desolation. However, not everyone could feel this aura. It required extremely sensitive soul perception. Wang Xing and the two family heads seemed to be in a heated discussion, their voices gradually rising into an argument. Lu Tian suppressed his anger.
Lord Wang Xing, can my son be saved?
Wang Xing replied,
I have already reported to the family head, who will arrive soon.
As a member of the Wang family, Wang Xing spoke with a hint of authority. Even though Lu Tian's cultivation was higher than Wang Xing's, he dared not offend him. Lu Tian glared at Qiao Fangxin.
If anything happens to my son.
The rest of the threat was understood without being said. If Lu Ji died, Qiao Zhengyuan would not fare well either. The rules of the Human Emperor Network were strict. No one could protect Qiao Zhengyuan.
Can I take a look at the rune blade?
A voice suddenly interrupted, and all three turned to see an unexpected figure. Wang Xing was slightly surprised.
It's you!
He had seen Lin Moyu before, but Lin Moyu had disappeared afterward. Lin Moyu cupped his hands.
Greetings, brother Wang Xing.
Wang Xing nodded.
What do you want?
Lin Moyu said.
I want to see this rune blade.
Wang Xing flatly refused.
No.
Lin Moyu asked.
Is there a rule against it?
The Human Emperor Network had many rules, and Lin Moyu wasn't sure if there was a specific rule about this. Wang Xing nodded.
Yes.
Wang Xing didn't explain why, and Lin Moyu didn't press further. Lin Moyu glanced at the rune blade again. Wang Xing hadn't stored it in a magical storage item, likely because it couldn't be stored, so he had to hold it. Wang Xing seemed to be on guard, indicating the rune blade was peculiar. Suddenly, Lin Moyu sensed something and looked at Qiao Zhengyuan. A sharp, inhuman scream erupted as Qiao Zhengyuan howled at the sky, his voice piercingly sharp. The sound waves spread wildly through the city, causing many to fall from the sky instantly. On the ground, numerous cultivators clutched their heads in pain, clearly suffering. Even a few god kings felt uncomfortable. The sound waves directly attacked the soul. At this moment, Qiao Zhengyuan's body was covered in black runes, and his eyes had turned black. He was enveloped in black energy, looking extremely eerie. The formation that had been restraining him trembled continuously, on the verge of collapse. Qiao Zhengyuan was like a beast about to break free, his screams growing louder. Qiao Fangxin trembled and exclaimed,
How could this happen?
Wang Xing reacted quickly, rushing to Qiao Zhengyuan's side. He drew a rune with incredible speed and pressed it onto Qiao Zhengyuan's head. Lin Moyu recognized the rune as a suppression rune, meant to suppress everything. Of course, the effectiveness of suppression depended on one's strength. Wang Xing was a 6th-level god king, while Qiao Zhengyuan was only a 6th-level true god. The gap was insurmountable, making suppression easy. But contrary to expectations, the suppression rune didn't stop Qiao Zhengyuan's screams. Black energy surged from Qiao Zhengyuan, resisting the suppression rune, and his aura grew stronger. Wang Xing's face turned serious as he increased the pressure. But no matter how much force he applied, he couldn't suppress Qiao Zhengyuan. Qiao Zhengyuan's resistance grew stronger, and the suppression rune began to crack, on the verge of breaking. Suddenly, a black light flashed. The rune blade in Wang Xing's hand burst forth, escaping his grasp and shooting towards his forehead. The attack was too sudden and fast for Wang Xing to react. Fear filled Wang Xing's eyes as he watched the rune blade approach. Suddenly, a hand grabbed Wang Xing's shoulder, pulling him back, and a golden light clashed with the rune blade. The rune blade was knocked away, and Wang Xing narrowly escaped. Wang Xing looked at Lin Moyu, who had pulled him back, with lingering fear and a pale face.
Thank you.
Lin Moyu smiled.
No need to thank me, Brother Wang. Cheer, what's happening to you?
Lu Tian's voice suddenly rang out. Looking over, they saw Lu Ji, who had been lying on the ground, now standing. He was also covered in black energy, with black runes emerging from his skin. His wounds had healed. Lu Ji and Qiao Zhengyuan were in the same condition. The rune blade flew back, landing in Lu Ji's hand. Lu Ji's aura exploded, instantly breaking through to the God King level and growing stronger. Wang Xing's heart trembled.
This is trouble.
Lu Tian and Xiao Fangxin were at a loss, not knowing what to do. Lin Moyu shook his head.
It's fine.
He quickly drew 2 suppression runes. Wang Xing's pupils contracted. Lin Muyu's speed was faster than his own. Moreover, the power within Lin Muyu's runes far exceeded his own. The 2 suppression runes glowed faintly with purple light, exuding a noble aura.
Go!
Lin Moyu softly commanded, and the 2 runes flew out. Before the 2 could react, the runes landed on their heads. The runes emitted countless rays of light, enveloping the 2. They quieted down, though black energy still surged, unable to break free from the suppression runes. The same suppression rune, but Lin Muyu's was far more powerful than Wang Xing's. Wang Xing stared in disbelief, his previous fear forgotten.
How can the difference be so great?
He couldn't believe his eyes, but the reality was undeniable. Moreover, Lin Muyu's cultivation was lower than his own. Yet in rune mastery he was far behind Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu walked to Lu Ji, taking the rune blade from his hand. Lu Ji, covered in black energy, seemed to want to resist and roar, but it was useless. Under the suppression rune, he couldn't move or make a sound. Lin Moyu held the rune blade, which vibrated and resisted, trying to escape and even attack him. Golden light flashed in Lin Muyu's hand, giving the blade no chance. Looking at the runes on the blade, Lin Moyu smiled.
So that's how it is.
A delicate small bow appeared above his head. 1594, 1594. Chapter 1594. The evil spirit in the rune blade from the ancient battlefield. The soul-shooting bow, a mid-level soul treasure in the God-Sovereign realm. Soul treasures in the God-Sovereign realm are extremely rare, and soul treasures are even rarer. The rune blade in Lin Muyu's hand struggled frantically, trying to break free from his control. But Lin Moyu held it firmly. No matter how much it trembled and struggled, it was to no avail. The soul-shooting bow automatically drew back, and soul power was injected into it, forming an arrow. The moment the arrow was formed, a terrifying and dreadful pressure swept in all directions. Wang Xing, Lu Tian, and Xiao Fangxin involuntarily retreated, directly exiting the dueling arena. They felt their souls being impacted, and their faces turned pale. Wang Xing was once again shocked.
What level of treasure is this? How can it be so powerful? What a terrifying soul treasure. I feel that if this arrow is shot, I will surely die.
How could a mere 4th-level God King young man possess such a terrifying soul treasure? Not only possess it, but also be able to drive it. Wang Xing, coming from the Wang family, had seen the world. He instinctively judged that the soul-shooting bow should be a soul treasure in the God-Sovereign realm. But how could a 4th-level God King young man drive a soul treasure in the God-Sovereign realm? Unless Lin Muyu's soul had already reached the God-Sovereign level. Wang Xing instantly understood.
No wonder his runes are so much stronger than mine. His soul has already reached the God-Sovereign level. A God-Sovereign level soul, a God-Sovereign level soul treasure. His background must be extraordinary, and there must be a powerful family behind him.
Lin Moyu didn't know Wang Xing's complex inner thoughts. In fact, he didn't want to use the soul-shooting bow. But there was no choice. There was a powerful soul in the rune blade. It couldn't be called a soul. It could only be called an evil spirit. It was a collection of countless evil thoughts and grievances, not easy to deal with. Lin Moyu roughly sensed that the evil spirit's realm had already touched the threshold of the God-sovereign level. His soul curse techniques couldn't destroy it, so he had to use the soul-shooting bow. Just as well, he could take this opportunity to see the power of the soul-shooting bow. The soul-shooting bow had no special attributes. The stronger the user's soul, the stronger its attack. With Lin Muyu's soul in the other shore realm, controlling the soul-shooting bow, it was not a problem to destroy an evil spirit. A faint purple light flashed, and the arrow shot into the rune blade. The rune blade, which had been struggling frantically, suddenly went still. After half a second, a shrill scream came from the rune blade, and a large amount of black gas emerged. The black gas was enveloped by an invisible flame, quickly burning to ashes. The black gas on Lu Ji and Qiao Zhengyuan, who were controlled by the suppression runes, also suddenly began to burn. The two of them trembled violently, then fell to the ground, motionless.
Child!
Lu Tian and Xiao Fengxin exclaimed in unison, rushing back to their respective sons. Wang Xing also immediately went over to check, first checking Xiao Fengxin, then looking at Lu Ji. He said in a low voice,
Young Master Qiao is fine, just a bit exhausted. As for young Master Lu
Ji's soul was previously injured, and healing it would be very troublesome. Lu Tian cupped his hands towards Wang Xing.
Please, Lord Wang, think of a way. I remember there is a rune called the Soul Rune among the Rune Masters, which can heal soul injuries.
Wang Xing shook his head.
Master Lu, you may not know, the Soul Rune is an ancient rune, and it requires a 7th level Rune Master to master it. And I am only a 3rd level Rune Master. Even if there is a 7th level Rune Master, they may not be able to master the Soul Rune. The Soul Rune is of a very high grade and is extremely difficult to master even among ancient runes. Moreover, Master Lu should understand, a 7th level Rune Master is at least a peak God Sovereign.
Lu Tian's face showed a bitter expression. According to Wang Xing, his son was probably doomed. But Lu Tian still wanted to seek the last possible chance.
Lord Wang, can you help me think of a way?
Wang Xing was also a bit troubled at this moment. Finally, he said,
Sai, when the family head arrives, I will talk to him. Perhaps the family head knows such a person. Thank you, Lord Wang.
Lu Tian had no other way and could only do this.
Actually, it's not that troublesome.
Lin Moyu suddenly spoke. Lu Tian looked up at Lin Moyu. This 4th level God King young man was really a bit mysterious. His runes seemed to be stronger than Wang Xing's, and much stronger. At this moment, Lu Tian wondered if Lin Moyu came from some powerful rune family. Did his family have a 7th level rune master among the elders? Lu Tian's hope was rekindled.
Do you know a 7th level rune master?
Lin Moyu shook his head.
I don't know, I mean, saving him is not that troublesome.
With a flick of his finger, a pure white light fell into Lu Ji's body. The power of life in the undying law quickly began to repair Lu Ji's soul. Lu Ji's cultivation was not high, only at the 6th level of the true God realm. His soul was not very strong either. With Lin Muyu's current mastery of the undying law, healing such a small injury was not difficult. In less than 10 seconds, the unconscious Lu Ji suddenly let out a light groan and woke up. He seemed to know nothing about what had just happened. His eyes filled with confusion.
Father, why are you here?
Lu Tian's eyes were filled with joy. He could feel that his son's soul was already fine. He joyfully bowed to Lin Moyu.
Thank you, sir, for saving my son.
Lin Moyu nodded slightly, accepting Lu Tian's thanks. He walked to Qiao Zhengyuan, shook the rune blade.
Where did you get this rune blade?
At this moment, Qiao Zhengyuan had already recovered. The moment he saw Lin Muyu's gaze, his soul trembled violently, and his face turned pale. Lin Muyu's gaze was like a sharp sword, as if he would be killed on the spot if he didn't speak. Driven by the instinct to survive, Qiao Zhengyuan spoke without hesitation.
I got it from the ancient battlefield.
Lin Moyu frowned.
Be specific.
Qiao Zhengyuan didn't hesitate at all, quickly answering.
The 12301 ancient battlefield. I entered the ancient battlefield and found an ancient cave and an abandoned ancient path. Then I got this rune blade from inside. I don't remember the exact location. The ancient cave was very dangerous, with many evil spirits. I took the rune blade and escaped.
Lin Muyu's gaze was too terrifying. He feared that if he hesitated for a second, he would be killed. However, apart from Qiao Zhengyuan, no one else knew this. Even Xiao Fangxin, who was beside Qiao Zhengyuan, felt nothing. Xiao Fangxin only felt strange, wondering why his son was so honest. Lin Moyu had used a bit of soul power. The soul power of the other shore realm was not something a god king could easily detect. After getting the answer, Lin Moyu didn't ask further, turning to throw the rune blade back to Wang Xing.
This rune blade had an evil spirit attached to it, probably from the ancient battlefield. Now that it has been destroyed, this rune blade can be used safely.
Wang Xing caught the rune blade. At this moment, the rune blade no longer resisted or trembled, and its aura had become gentle. The evil spirit inside had obviously been killed by Lin Moyu. The true value of the rune blade lay in the runes it contained, especially runes that had not been damaged over a long period, which had great research value. For a rune master, a rune blade with history was a rare treasure. Lin Moyu felt the same, but he already knew what runes were in the rune blade. It was a killing rune, a type of high-level rune. The rune blade was no longer useful to him. Seeing Lin Moyu about to leave, Wang Xing immediately spoke.
Junior brother, are you going to the ancient battlefield?
Lin Moyu nodded.
Yes, to take a look. Do you need something, senior brother Wang?
Wang Xing asked.
Have you joined the Rune Master Association?
Lin Moyu lightly shook his head.
No.
Wang Xing immediately said.
When you return from the ancient battlefield, you can come to the Wang family to find me. All right.
1595, 1595. Chapter 1595. The chaotic timeline of the ancient battlefield. One must say Wang Xing is quite a tactful person. Lin Moyu could feel that he actually wanted to chat with him. Or rather, he wanted to build a relationship with him. However, he was very measured. After seeing that Lin Moyu wanted to go to the ancient battlefield, he did not insist on keeping him. He just said that when he returned, he could visit him at the Wang family. At the same time, he confirmed whether Lin Moyu had joined the Rune Master Association. After confirming that he had not, he might introduce him. Lin Moyu was also somewhat interested in the Rune Master Association. As one of the top organizations in the Divine City, its members were all Rune Masters. Moreover, these Rune Masters were deeply rooted and came from different families. Lin Moyu thought that the head of the Rune Master Association should be the ancestor Su. But these were not his concerns. What he cared about were the materials in the Rune Master Association. There were many rune materials that could not be found outside. If possible, he wanted to take a good look. However, there was no rush. Runes were a vast subject, and mastering them was not a matter of a day or two. Now, he wanted to go to the ancient battlefield. Just now, when he was killing the evil spirit, he obtained some information. When the evil spirit died, its soul scattered, and countless memories were dispersed. From these memories he saw a huge rune. This rune seemed to be an ancient rune, but it also did not look like an ancient rune. The key was that this rune had two colors, gray and white, which were very similar to his undead law. At the moment he saw the rune, Lin Moyu felt a strange sense of familiarity. So he wanted to go and see what was going on. In the Divine City Star region, besides many secret realms, there were also many ancient battlefields scattered around. No one could explain the origin of the ancient battlefields, only that they had a long history. As for whether they came from ancient times, no one knew. It was once said that the ancient battlefields were left behind after the coalition of 100 races attacked the human race in the near ancient period. But that was over 100,000 years ago, and the survivors of that time were almost all dead. The lifespan of those in the other shore realm was generally around 50,000 years, and even fewer survived back then. However, the danger level of the ancient battlefields was far less than that of the secret realms. Over time, the ancient battlefields became places for those below the God King level to explore. Some ancient battlefields even had corresponding tasks, but those tasks only provided points and no divine city merits. Occasionally, someone would gain something from the ancient battlefields. Even if there were no gains, there would be no losses. There were many ruins in the ancient battlefields that people could admire. From them, one could see how intense the battles were back then. There were maps in the Human Emperor network, and Lin Moyu followed the map's guidance to find the direction of the 12301 ancient battlefield. It was called the 12301 ancient battlefield because it was under the jurisdiction of the 12301 star system. The distance between the two was less than 1 billion kilometers. At Lin Muyu's speed, it would take less than 2 hours to fly there. Even those in the true God realm would only need a day or two. Soon, an ancient battlefield floating in the void came into view. Standing in front of the ancient battlefield, Lin Moyu carefully observed. The so-called ancient battlefield was actually a star that had been severely damaged. However, this large star was very sturdy, obviously having been modified and refined. It had been transformed from an ordinary star into an extremely sturdy war fortress. Although it had been severely damaged, one could still feel its strong pressure. This pressure was not weaker than that of a god sovereign and carried a sense of desolation that even time could hardly erase. If it were still intact and in its prime, it was hard to imagine its combat power. Lin Moyu had an illusion that it might be able to fight against those in the other shore realm.
Compared to that era, our current era is really weak.
Lin Moyu couldn't help but sigh. It wasn't self-deprecation. It was a fact. Even those big shots in the other shore realm had to admit this. In ancient times, the number of those in the other shore realm far exceeded the current number. Occasionally, there would even be beings that surpassed the other shore realm. But now, the other shore realm was the peak. There might be higher levels of power, but they were no longer easily attainable. It seemed that the world had changed, introducing some restrictions that limited the level of power. Compared to 1 million years ago, the current world was weak. In the next second, Lin Moyu appeared on the ancient battlefield. Kicking the severely damaged star, Lin Moyu felt a bit emotional. War had always been the most brutal. War could make an era more prosperous, but it could also lead an era to its demise. Future generations often wouldn't know what exactly happened in that era. They could only search for the truth from the remnants left behind. Just like the land beneath his feet. In Lin Muyu's perception, it had experienced a long history, no less than ancient times. He lifted his foot and stomped down hard. With a dull sound, no cracks appeared. The power of Lin Muyu's stomp was immense, enough to shatter a star. But this land remained unscathed. However, this feeling was different from the mysterious manor and the ancient tomb, which were made of that black material. The sturdiness of that material could be felt. It was truly indestructible. But here, Lin Moyu felt that the power of his stomp was absorbed. The entire ancient battlefield seemed like a sponge, absorbing all his power. It was hard to say which was better. Their common feature was that, with his current power, he couldn't damage them. It was precisely because of this that the ancient battlefield had remained in its original state for countless years. Walking on the ancient battlefield, one could see the already abandoned buildings. The buildings had been shattered, leaving only ruins.
This was cut by a sharp weapon. This was smashed by a fist. This should be some kind of special blunt weapon.
Lin Moyu looked at the remaining marks on the broken parts, making speculations and analyses.
Why are there no ancient battlefields in the 4-star domains? Was the Great War back then only fought in the Divine City Star region? It shouldn't be. A war of this magnitude should have affected the entire world. Or did the big shots in the other shore realm move all the ancient battlefields to the divine city-star region? It's not impossible.
The remaining aura in the ancient battlefield was very strong, reaching the level of a god king in many places. In this environment, those in the true god realm would find it difficult to move. This was after countless years of erosion. If it were in its prime, it would at least be at the peak god sovereign level. One could imagine how terrifying the battles on the ancient battlefield were. Lin Moyu looked at the scenes in the ancient battlefield, his thoughts somewhat chaotic. He sorted out everything he knew, including what Wu Shengzuan, Zhu Qiwu, and Zhu Tian had said. The timeline was divided into 4 clear points: the primordial era, the ancient era, the near-ancient era, and the current era. The near-ancient era was ended by Xiao Zhantian, who created the current era. Strong beings from various races were all seeking information from the ancient era. This showed that from the ancient era to the near-ancient era, nothing major happened. But when did the ancient battlefield appear? Lin Moyu tried to find information about the ancient battlefield from the Human Emperor Network, but found nothing. The information about the ancient battlefield in the Human Emperor Network was very scarce and vague.
Could it be older than the ancient era? It can't be the primordial era. That's too ancient.
The primordial era was just a concept, not pointing to a specific time. Basically, anything older than the ancient era could be called the primordial era. 1596 1596. Chapter 1596. A message from Meng Anwen. In the core area outside the flames, Lin, the big shots of the other shore realm, were drinking tea and chatting. A strong figure from the other shore realm returned from the ancient ruins, bringing back some Dao tea. Then these big shots, like bees attracted to the scent of tea, all swarmed over. A high-level tea party began in such a casual and relaxed manner. A dozen big shots, without any image, posed in various positions in the void. All the elegance and dignity were thrown away at this moment. In the other shore realm, they emphasized being carefree and doing whatever felt comfortable. Moreover, with their status, who would dare to make them follow rules?
Lin Moyu, that kid, has entered the ancient battlefield. Finally went. I wonder what he will discover. Probably won't find much. The valuable things in the ancient battlefield have already been scavenged. Only some scraps are left. I'm not talking about that. I'm also a bit curious. We have never figured out the era of the ancient battlefield. I hope the kid can find something. The ancient battlefield should be related to the Great War of the ancient times, but it seems a bit different. Chaos. It's really chaotic. The chaos of the ancient battlefield, I can't figure it out even if I rack my brains. I can only drink 3 cups of Dao tea to calm down. If you want to drink more, just say it, don't make excuses.
Lin Moyu was also a bit confused at this moment. He felt the passage of time, but many things in the ancient battlefield did not match the era. Some buildings were very modern, completely unlike ancient times. But they carried the aura of time, and Lin Moyu could be 100% sure that they had experienced a long history. This created a strong sense of conflict, making Lin Moyu unable to understand for a moment.
It's really strange. Why is it like this?
Unconsciously, Lin Moyu walked to an open square. A strong murderous aura rushed towards him, giving Lin Moyu the illusion of a battlefield. It was as if there had been a pre-battle assembly here, with generals above and soldiers below, ready to march with sharp swords. Looking into the distance, beyond the huge square, he saw a collapsed tower. Lin Moyu's eyes narrowed sharply, and with one step, he appeared in front of the tower. His eyes were filled with disbelief. How could it be? How could it be?
This is the Xinxia Tower. How could the Xinxia Tower appear here?
Lin Moyu couldn't believe what he was seeing. Why was Meng Anwen's Xinxia Tower here? This was absolutely impossible. The Xinxia Tower was modeled after the ancient Lei Tower, and the ancient Lei Tower was just a war treasure of the true god realm. With Lin Moyu's current realm, he could destroy the ancient Lei Tower with a single finger. Any skeleton god warrior could destroy the ancient Lei Tower. Not to mention the Shinsha Tower, which was modeled after it. It couldn't even be considered a treasure, just a toy. But in front of him, the Shinsha Tower really appeared. Lin Moyu couldn't be mistaken. He had entered the Shinsha Tower many times and seen it many times. It was impossible to be mistaken. At that time, 3 towers were made based on the ancient Lei Tower. They were the Trial Tower, the Shinsha Tower, and the Demon Extermination Tower. The Trial Tower was always in the hands of the Shinsha Empire, used to train newcomers. The Shinsha Tower was in Meng Anwen's hands, and the Demon Extermination Tower was obtained by himself, but he didn't take it when he left the small world. But what was the Shinsha Tower in front of him? Lin Moyu had the urge to return to the small world to take a look, but he knew it was unrealistic. He carefully observed the Shinsha Tower in front of him and gradually found something wrong. Although the 2 towers were almost identical, the Shinsha Tower in front of him was obviously simpler. In terms of strength, the Shinsha Tower in front of him far exceeded the one in Meng Anwen's hands. But it was indeed simpler than Meng Anwen's Shinsha Tower. In his eyes, it could be considered a replica of the Shinsha Tower. A replica stronger than the original, and not just by a little. It was incredible to think about. In addition, Lin Moyu found another point. This Shinsha Tower had various modern traces. Except for the aura of time, it did not have the appearance of an ancient building. Different eras had vastly different architectural styles. The sense of temporal dislocation made Lin Moyu feel a headache.
I can't figure it out.
He gently patted his head. Unable to figure it out, he could only temporarily put it aside. A buzzing sound came from the broken Shinsha Tower, the sound of wind hitting the walls. There was wind inside? This was the starry sky, a silent starry sky. How could there be wind? There were many stellar winds, flying around with the light, enough to kill ordinary people. The sound of the wind seemed like a call, arousing Lin Moyu's curiosity. The Shinsha Tower was already broken, empty inside, with no roof on top. The whole tower had become a ruin. There were still many runes on the walls, but they had lost their power. The runes were connected, originally forming various formations, but now they had lost their function. Everything was so broken. The sound of the wind came again, not just a sound. This time there was really wind blowing, moving his hair.
Come! Come!
A voice called from a dark corner. Lin Moyu looked towards the sound and saw a deep, dark hole in the corner. His gaze penetrated the deep hole. Immediately, Lin Moyu's pupils contracted, showing an expression of disbelief, even more shocked than before. Lin Moyu considered himself calm, rarely shocked. He could handle anything calmly. But today's shock was hard to suppress, even for him. He saw many runes, many basic runes. No, compared to the basic runes he mastered, these were even more basic. In his eyes, these runes were extremely simple but very familiar. They were the runes often used by Meng Anwen in the small world. Meng Anwen used these extremely simple runes to form various formations. Under Meng Anwen's control, the Shinsha Tower had the ability to turn decay into magic. The runes in the small world were completely different from those in the big world. Why were the runes Meng Anwen was good at appearing here? Combined with the replica Shinsha Tower, the shock was unimaginable for Lin Moyu. He even began to doubt this world. Before Lin Moyu could figure it out, the runes suddenly exploded. A black shadow shattered the runes and pounced. The black shadow opened its huge mouth, revealing a red tongue and sharp silver teeth. Lin Moyu's body shone with brilliant golden light, activating the God King golden body, and punched out. 1597, 1597. Chapter 1597. The Source of the Imitation Spirit Array. The golden fist collided with the silver fangs, and a massive force exploded. The already ruined Shinsha Tower shook violently but did not collapse. Lin. The materials used in the ancient battlefield's buildings were quite sturdy, though not as strong as the black material in the mysterious manner, but still very strong. At least Lin Moyu couldn't destroy them. The silver fangs shattered, and the black shadow retreated quickly with a piercing roar. Lin Moyu stepped forward in an instant, and his golden fist struck again. A beam of golden light pierced through the dark starry sky, through the black shadow, and directly pinned it to the ground. A large hole appeared in the black shadow's body, penetrating from front to back. However, the black shadow did not stop. It ignored the wound on its body and pounced again, opening its mouth to bite. Under the golden light, Lin Moyu saw the true face of the black shadow. It was an evil spirit, formed by countless resentments, obsessions, and some soul fragments fused together. Evil spirits have no intelligence or consciousness. They only have instinct. Their sole purpose is to kill, attacking any living being they encounter. The one hidden in the rune blade earlier was an evil spirit. The evil spirit in front of him had clearly absorbed the souls of beasts, which is why it had evolved into a beast-like form. Its level was not high, only at the 7th level of the true god realm. Lin Moyu's few punches had already shattered the evil spirit. However, Lin Moyu also knew that evil spirits are difficult to truly eliminate. Even if shattered, as long as the ancient battlefield remains and the obsessions and resentments persist, the evil spirit could regenerate after some time. The runes scattered by the evil spirit had also disappeared. Lin Moyu sighed lightly, recalling everything that had just happened, as if it were a dream. Meng Anwen couldn't possibly appear here, but the impossible had indeed happened. It was indescribably eerie. The events of ancient times were already strange enough, but at least there were traces to follow, allowing one to clear their thoughts. The events of the ancient battlefield, however, completely disrupted his thoughts, even affecting Lin Moyu's worldview. After much contemplation, Lin Moyu felt it was still due to his insufficient strength. Perhaps when his realm reached a certain height, these seemingly strange things would no longer seem strange. Putting all doubts aside for now to be pondered in the future. Following the pitch-black cave, Lin Moyu gradually entered the interior of the ancient battlefield. The internal structure of the ancient battlefield was somewhat peculiar, with countless passages. No one knew what the interior of the ancient battlefield was used for. Some speculated it was an armory, others said it was for logistics, and some even said it was a resting place for warriors. No matter the speculation, there were always unreasonable aspects. Seeing is believing, and everyone believed what they saw, including Lin Moyu. What others said didn't matter. What mattered was that he had to see for himself what was inside. In the pitch-black cave, all light was lost. Lin Moyu wielded the undying flame and summoned the skeleton god warriors. The gray light of the undying flame shone on the skeleton god warriors, turning their white bones into mirrors, reflecting more light and illuminating more areas. The passages inside the ancient battlefield were not narrow. Most areas were about 5 meters high and wide. In the passages, whether on the sides, the top, or even the ground, there were numerous runes. These runes had lost their divine power, leaving only their shapes. The runes had lost their function. As Lin Moyu walked, he examined the runes. Some were slightly complex, while others were quite simple. The runes here all belonged to the big world, with no traces of the small world. Most of the runes were familiar to Lin Moyu, as they were recorded in the
Rune language.
Each had its own function, but some had no substantial effect.
About 60% of the runes are basic runes. 20% are advanced runes, and the remaining 20% are composite runes.
Lin Moyu observed carefully, and suddenly his heart moved.
Is this a rune array?
The runes in the passage were not chaotic, but arranged in a certain order. Although many parts of the passage had been destroyed, Lin Moyu could still discern the arrangement. The key was that he had seen this arrangement before. In the first layer of the 4-star domain competition, outside the Soulfire rune, the array that could simulate living beings used a similar arrangement. At that time, he didn't understand runes well, so he couldn't comprehend it. Now it was completely different. Upon careful reflection, the two indeed had many similarities. His heart moved, and a large number of skeleton god warriors rushed out, searching for paths in the dark passage. The passages were interconnected, more complex than a spider's web. Unfortunately, many places had collapsed in the great battle, making them impassable. Even with Lin Moyu's abilities, It was difficult to clear these damaged areas. He could only choose the paths that were passable. Gradually, a map formed in his mind. The map was incomplete with many missing parts, but it was enough.
Indeed, it is a rune array. And it is that array.
Lin Moyu immediately realized that the human race's array was an imitation of this one. The ancient battlefield was the source of that array. The rune masters of the human race had forged the array based on the rune array left in the ancient battlefield. However, due to the severe damage to the ancient battlefield, many key parts were missing, so the imitation array was not perfect. Lin Moyu's eyes showed contemplation.
If the array in the ancient battlefield were complete, it could create more powerful warriors and endow them with intelligence, making their combat power unimaginably strong. The imitation and incomplete array can simulate beings at the God's sovereign level. Could the complete array simulate beings at the other shore level? If so, and the ancient battlefield was still defeated, the strength of the opponents.
Lin Moyu was slightly tongue-tied. If his speculation was correct, the strength of the opponents had reached an unimaginable level. Perhaps it was at the level of the owner of the severed finger outside the Divine City Star region. Lin Moyu felt that things were becoming increasingly complex. In those unrecorded years, something unknown must have happened. What exactly happened was impossible to trace. Lin Moyu's eyes suddenly brightened.
Right, there is the law of time. If I can master the law of time, could I see what happened in the past? The true vision technique can predict the future through the law of fate. Then I should be able to view the past directly through the law of time. When I become a God sovereign, I will choose the law of time as my second law.
Curiosity got the better of him, making Lin Moyu decide between the law of space and the law of time. But for now, Lin Moyu decided to carefully record the rune array in the ancient battlefield. The skeleton god warriors continued to search for paths, discovering more and more passages, each filled with numerous runes. The rune array used the ancient battlefield as its base, directly setting up the array inside. Such a grand scale was beyond Lin Moyu's current capabilities. It could only be said that the mastery of runes and the control of rune arrays had reached an astonishing level. Lin Moyu even felt that the ancestor Su of the other shore realm was not as skilled. Unfortunately, many of the runes were severely damaged, with at least half destroyed. Some array nodes, which should have contained materials, were now empty. Either they were destroyed in battle or taken away after the battle. 1598 1598 Chapter 1598 Recording Runes, Intelligent Evil Spirits. The skeleton god warriors searched through all the passages, not missing even the smallest corners. Then Lin Moyu tirelessly walked through each passage, examining and recording each one. He intended to record all the runes inside, leaving none out. Even if the runes were damaged and only a fragment remained, he did not plan to overlook them. These runes were different from those in the secret realms. They had form but no divine power. Moreover, the runes in the ancient battlefield were of a lower level than those in the secret realms. Most of these runes could be found in the
rune language.
So recording them was not difficult for Lin Moyu, just time-consuming. Lin Moyu had a plan in mind. There were many ancient battlefields in the Divine City, totaling around 1,000. If he could traverse all the ancient battlefields, he might be able to piece together a complete array. After all, the damage in each ancient battlefield was different. What was damaged in one might be intact in another. Of course, the premise was that the internal structures of the ancient battlefields had the same array, allowing for cross-referencing and complementing each other. After spending 30 days, Lin Moyu finally walked through all the passages inside the ancient battlefield. He believed that few people could walk through all the passages like he did. There were many intricate details in the passages, with some passages connected by very hidden routes. Some places were so narrow that even one person would find it cramped. Some places were simply impassable. Lin Moyu also discovered a few insignificant corners that no one had entered. Without exception, these places were inscribed with runes. Although these runes were not crucial, their absence would significantly reduce the array's effectiveness. Lin Moyu did not overlook any of them. By creating a large number of skeleton god warriors, he recorded all the runes in the passages. It was as if he had imprinted a complete but damaged array into his mind. For him, these 30 days were quite fruitful. He gained a new understanding of the layout of rune arrays, almost forming his own theoretical system. In Lin Moyu's mind, the internal structure of the ancient battlefield appeared as a three-dimensional diagram. In the three-dimensional diagram, thousands of gaps fragmented the entire array. These gaps were the damaged areas that Lin Moyu could not currently access. The largest gap was in the center of the array. This was where the main rune was located. This area had been completely destroyed, making it impossible to enter. The main rune could be considered the essence of the entire array. Without access to the main rune area, the array could not truly operate. Carefully examining the three-dimensional diagram, Lin Moyu searched for a way to enter the main rune area. Relying on the skeletons was impossible, but analyzing the array's structure offered some possibilities. Soon, Lin Moyu pinpointed a spot. This spot was near the central area of the main rune. If accessible, it might lead directly to the main rune area. A few minutes later, Lin Moyu navigated through the complex passages to the location he had identified. There was indeed a passage here, revealed among the rubble, about the size of a fist. Person couldn't pass through, and he tried to move the rubble. However, whether due to the passage of time or some other reason, the rubble was stuck together. He couldn't move it even with all his strength. He even used his original magic to enhance his strength to the God-Sovereign level. But he still couldn't do anything about the rubble. The fist-sized passage extended inward. The passage was filled with dust, indicating it had been a long time since anyone had been there. Lin Moyu thought for a moment and snapped his fingers. A gray halo appeared at his feet, and a fist-sized undead lich appeared beside him. The undead lich circled around Lin Moyu, looking very happy. Lin Moyu patted the little head of the undead lich.
Go!
The undead lich received Lin Moyu's command and swiftly flew into the passage. The undead lich's small, flexible body moved like jelly, advancing through the passage. After a while, it finally emerged from the passage into another space. This space was spacious, feeling like an independent room. The three-dimensional diagram in Lin Moyu's mind immediately updated with a large gap.
This shouldn't be.
Lin Moyu was puzzled. This situation exceeded his knowledge. In a corner of the room, the undead lich found a rune blade. The rune blade looked like a seven-headed snake, not appearing sharp. The strength of a rune blade depends on the runes, not the material. The seven-headed snake was larger than the undead lich and couldn't be brought through the twisted passage. Lin Moyu had to give up. Helplessly, he connected to the undead lich's vision and began recording the runes in the space. The undead lich's vision was not ideal for recording runes. In the gray and white world, judging the depth and subtle layers of the runes was far inferior to the naked eye. The efficiency of recording runes would be significantly reduced, and the precision would be lacking. But there was no other way, so Lin Moyu had to make do. After half a day, he had recorded most of the runes in this independent space. Suddenly, Lin Moyu felt a sense of unease. He trusted his intuition and immediately ordered the undead lich to return. The undead lich silently slipped back through the fist-sized passage and hid, watching what was happening in the room. First, the runes in the room began to glow, but not all of them, only about 10%. Lin Moyu was surprised that these runes were still functional. Then, wisps of black gas emerged from the room, quickly thickening and increasing in quantity. Eventually, the black gas formed a pitch-black humanoid creature. This humanoid creature was entirely black but had a pair of white eyes, creating a stark contrast and looking quite sinister. It looked around the room, its nose twitching as if searching for something. Lin Moyu watched this scene and suddenly understood. The room was indeed connected to the main rune, but people couldn't pass through. It was connected by runes. This pitch-black humanoid creature was not a real person but an evil spirit. However, this evil spirit was very special. It had gained intelligence. Evil spirits are merely collections of resentment, obsession, and some soul fragments. They are not normal beings, having no thoughts, only instincts. But this evil spirit clearly had intelligence. It had smelled the scent of a living person and was searching for its target. The whole process was no different from that of an ordinary person. Lin Moyu realized that he had overlooked this array. He remembered the 4-star domain competition, where there was a soul fire rune behind the array. It was the same here. Beneath the array, there was a soul fire rune. The soul fire rune had given the evil spirit intelligence. With this, the array was complete. The array created beings, and the soul fire rune endowed them with intelligence, making them qualified warriors. At this moment, the undead lich suddenly shrank back. In front of the small passage, a large white eyeball appeared, staring at the undead lich.
Come back.
1599, 1599. Chapter 1599. Can't see, can't kill? The undead lich once again moved like cotton candy, navigating through the narrow crevices and quickly returning. Lin. During its return, the undead lich kept its eyes on the evil spirit. The evil spirit was clearly enraged, letting out a roar. Then its entire body exploded into countless black gases, which also rushed over, moving much faster than the undead lich. In the blink of an eye, the evil spirit was about to catch up with the undead lich. With a thought, Lin Moyu made the undead lich disappear instantly, retrieving it. Lin Moyu heard the roar of the evil spirit as black gas surged from the crevices, reappearing in front of him and reforming into a humanoid evil spirit. This evil spirit was stronger than the ones he had encountered before, comparable to the one in the rune blade, almost reaching the god sovereign level. However, unlike the one in the rune blade, which had no intelligence and only a killing instinct, this evil spirit clearly had intelligence, making it more difficult to deal with. The evil spirit roared, its body transforming as a mass of black gas turned into a long whip and lashed out. Lin Moyu's eyes narrowed slightly. The long whip was clearly entwined with some kind of law, but he couldn't discern which one. But he was certain that being struck by it wouldn't be pleasant. 2 skeleton god generals appeared beside Lin Moyu, swinging their swords. The sword energy collided with the long whip, and the energy spread like a wave, causing the passage to tremble slightly, absorbing all the attacks. The skeleton god generals charged forward, their bone swords glowing with the power of the undying law, emitting layers of gray light. The death power of the undying law could corrode everything, whether it was laws or souls. The evil spirit did not dodge, raising its hands again, transforming into 2 black whips that lashed out. The skeleton god general's swords struck the whips, breaking them on impact. However, at the same time, countless black gases surged from all directions in the passage, trapping the skeleton god generals. The skeleton god generals continuously swung their bone swords, cutting through the black gas. The undying law's power played a significant role, corroding the black gas of the evil spirit, preventing it from regenerating. The evil spirit, though formless and intangible, could still be corroded by the undying law. The evil spirit screamed, retracting the black gas. The skeleton god generals broke free and continued to charge at the evil spirit. At this moment, the evil spirit suddenly looked at Lin Moyu, then let out a strange cry, its entire body exploding and retreating. Lin Moyu, with the soul shooting bow above his head, couldn't help but laugh.
This guy's senses are so sharp. I was already very careful, but it sensed the soul's shooting bow as soon as I took it out.
This guy clearly felt the power of the soul shooting bow and fled quickly.
With such a small courage, it doesn't deserve the name Evil Spirit.
Lin Moyu was slightly helpless. Once it escaped, it would be difficult to catch it again. The passage was only the size of a fist, and only the undead lich could navigate it. Lin Moyu thought about calling out,
"Come here!"
into the passage, but he knew it was just a thought. As long as the evil spirit wasn't too stupid, it obviously wouldn't come. The soul-shooting bow had scared it, and evil spirits were extremely sensitive to soul-related treasures. The undead lich flew out again, entering the fist-sized passage. It hid in a corner, secretly watching the evil spirit. In the room, the evil spirit was standing in the center, with many runes glowing. The power of the runes was healing its wounds. Although the attack from the Undying Law didn't threaten its life, it still caused some damage. The Undying Law wasn't easy to expel, and the runes in the room clearly had healing abilities, but they couldn't completely heal it. After a while, the evil spirit felt no improvement. Suddenly, it grabbed a rune blade from the side. It hesitated for a long time, then stabbed the rune blade into a spot in front of it. The solid ground was as soft as tofu before the rune blade, which easily pierced the ground and emitted light. Several runes on the ground glowed, revealing an entrance. The evil spirit immediately jumped in, and just before it fully entered, it casually threw the rune blade into a corner of the room. After it entered the passage, the entrance quickly disappeared. Lin Moyu watched this scene and couldn't help but laugh.
It has intelligence but isn't very smart. Throwing the rune blade casually, thinking others won't find the right spot. Did it forget that I can see?
At this thought, Lin Moyu suddenly realized he was wrong. The evil spirit did it on purpose, letting him see. If he guessed correctly, the spot where the rune blade needed to be stabbed would change each time. So it wasn't afraid of being seen. It did this to confuse and mislead.
It seems quite cautious. There must be something below that can heal its wounds. Now the question is how to lure it out and kill it. No, killing it isn't enough. I still can't get in. Not only do I need to kill it, but I also need to find a way to get in.
Lin Moyu pondered, realizing he didn't have much room to maneuver. To kill the evil spirit, the most effective method was the soul-shooting bow soul attack. One arrow would be enough to kill it, but the passage was blocked by extremely sturdy rubble, which even souls couldn't pass through. He couldn't turn into gas like the evil spirit and navigate through the crevices. But it wasn't impossible to kill it. Without the soul-shooting bow, as long as the power was strong enough, he could still kill it. Lin Moyu thought of two methods and decided to use both. The bone hell silently activated and gradually spread. The bone hell was formless and intangible. Although the rubble was special and could block it to some extent, the bone hell still seeped through the crevices and spread into the room. The bone hell enveloped the room, but Lin Moyu didn't let the slaves inside take action. He only used a 7th-level true god spirit, quietly waiting in the room. After about an hour, a hole appeared on the ground again. Black mist emerged from the hole, quickly forming the evil spirit. This time, the evil spirit's wounds were healed. The things in the hole indeed healed it. The evil spirit seemed to sense something different in its room. Why had it turned gray and white? At this moment, the true god spirit took action, applying an invisible pressure on the evil spirit. The formless and intangible evil spirit was immediately compressed into a strange shape, looking bizarre. The evil spirit, under attack, roared in anger and immediately counterattacked the true god spirit. Its hands turned into black whips, lashing out and dispersing the true god spirit. Outside the room, Lin Moyu's lips curled into a smile. Because the evil spirit attacked in the bone hell, it was marked. With the mark, the evil spirit was instantly locked. Original spell, Power Gathering. Lin Moyu's aura surged, breaking through the God King level in the blink of an eye, then the Lesser God Sovereign level and stepping into the God Sovereign level. Above his head appeared the gray and white Undying Law Galaxy. He took a bone sword from a skeleton god general and also retrieved a corpse. Lin Moyu didn't know whose corpse it was, only that it was a lesser god sovereign in life, which was enough. Spell, God Slaying. Stellar level spell, Corpse Explosion. The bone sword in his hand emitted a sword light, and the corpse exploded simultaneously. The evil spirit in the room sensed something was wrong, feeling that something bad was about to happen. It growled uneasily, instinctively trying to dodge. But it was too late. Suddenly, sword light shone on its body, and the room echoed with thunderous explosions. 1600, 1600. Chapter 1600, The 4 Levels of Runes. Both spells can ignore space. Lin. As long as it is locked, it will be attacked. Originally, it was difficult for the soul to lock onto the evil spirit in the room, but with the mark of the bone hell, the obstacles of the rubble disappeared. Once locked by the soul, Lin Moyu raised his realm to the god-sovereign level and used the god-slaying sword. To be safe, he also used corpse explosion. With a dual approach, the evil spirit was instantly killed. The evil spirit turned back into formless energy, continuing to wander in the ancient battlefield. Perhaps one day it will form a new evil spirit again, but whether it will be so lucky to be endowed with wisdom again is uncertain. Now that the evil spirit is dead, the next thing to do is figure out how to reopen that entrance. The existence of the rubble is unsolvable. Such a strong attack just now. Except for the evil spirit being killed, everything else in the room, including the inscribed runes and the rune blade, remained intact. So Lin Moyu wouldn't bother racking his brains on how to get in. Even if he broke his head thinking he couldn't get in. If he really wanted to get in, it wasn't impossible. Perhaps he could try summoning a big shot from the other shore realm. In fact, he didn't need to go in himself. Just having the undead lich go in was enough. It might take some effort, but so what? The undead lich flew into the room. Its small body came to the rune blade. Using the undead lich's vision, Lin Moyu observed the runes on the rune blade. The most important thing on the rune blade is the runes. To open the entrance, the most important thing is also the runes. The undead lich stretched out its chubby fingers, constantly flipping the runes, allowing Lin Moyu to see clearly. Then it picked up the rune blade and flew around the room, looking at the runes on the ground. Comparing and matching, Lin Moyu quickly had an answer.
So that's how it is. It looks difficult, but it's actually very simple.
The runes on the rune blade correspond one-to-one with the runes in the center of the room's floor. After carefully observing the rune blade, Lin Moyu found that the runes on the rune blade were not static. They flowed slowly, like very slow-moving water, changing bit by bit. This change occurs roughly every 10 seconds, moving a hair's breadth each time. Although the distance is very short, over time the runes completely change. The runes at the tip of the rune blade had long since become something else. To open the entrance, the runes at the tip of the rune blade must correspond to the runes on the floor of the room. Once understood, it becomes a simple task. The undead lich held the rune blade, waited for the runes on the rune blade to change again, found the right position and stabbed directly. The solid ground broke open like tofu, without any resistance. The runes on the rune blade and the runes on the ground connected and glowed simultaneously. Like a key opening a lock, a dark entrance appeared on the ground. Putting the rune blade aside, the undead lich happily flew in. The power of the runes flowed, forming an energy channel, guiding the undead lich without needing to search for direction. Soon, the undead lich entered another space. In this space, there was only one rune. A huge, extremely complex rune. The rune was no longer complete, with many missing parts, clearly damaged in the great battle. Judging from the traces, only 1/3 of the rune remained. Even this 1/3 was still functioning, performing some functions.
Sure enough, it's the soul fire rune.
Just a glance was enough to determine that it was the same as the Soulfire rune in the 4-star domain competition. To be precise, the Soulfire rune in the 4-star domain competition was a replica of this one. But there was no Soulfire here, only the rune. Obviously, the Soulfire was added by Ancestor Su himself. The rune was too severely damaged to be fully restored. Ancestor Su was able to restore part of its function by adding his own understanding and the Soulfire, which was quite remarkable. The runes here were generally related to the soul. Their greatest function was to endow warriors with wisdom. The main function of the ancient battlefield's rune array was to create warriors, which, though not real, were indistinguishable from real warriors. Then, combined with the rune in front of him, it endowed the warriors with wisdom, giving the warriors created by the rune array stronger combat power. The rune array, combined with this special rune, was perfect. Using the undead lich's vision, Lin Moyu carefully observed the rune. This was an extremely complex composite rune, composed of hundreds or thousands of runes. It did not form a rune array. It was simply a combination of runes. Compared to a rune array, such a combination of runes was more complex, more profound, and represented a truly advanced application of runes. In Lin Moyu's understanding, the mastery of runes can be divided into 4 levels. The first level is mastering all runes and being able to draw individual runes. The second level is combining runes into a rune array, linking different runes together, and even performing simple combinations of some runes. The third level is merging runes to form an extremely complex rune. With a complex rune, one can achieve the effect of a rune array. The Soulfire rune is at this level, merging a large number of runes together to achieve an effect similar to a rune array, even more powerful than a rune array. Achieving this is much more difficult than constructing a rune array, requiring a deeper understanding of runes. Lin Moyu has only touched the second level so far. As for the fourth level, it is even more miraculous. Drawing a single rune can have the effect of an entire rune array or a merged rune. The ancient runes in the secret realm are like this. They appear to be a single, not very complex rune, but contain countless functions, far surpassing a rune array. Even if the rune collapses, leaving only a fragment, it can still produce various terrifying effects. At this level, the key is no longer the rune itself, but the spirit of the one who draws it. The form is no longer important. Lin Moyu even speculates that in ancient times, powerful rune masters could casually draw a stroke, creating a terrifying rune capable of destroying the world. This is his understanding of the 4 levels of runes. As for whether there is a 5th level, there is. That is the ultimate existence of runes in the big world. A rune that contains all the principles, laws, and rules of the big world. This level is far beyond his current reach. Even the 4th level is a distant goal. Lin Moyu is very pragmatic. He is now focused on memorizing the Soulfire rune. Fortunately, the central part of the Soulfire rune was not severely damaged, which is why the entire rune can still function. It took him a day to finally memorize this incomplete rune. Although he cannot understand it now, he can use it in the future. After memorizing the rune, the undead lich began to observe the surroundings. This space was very special, seemingly not in the real world. After observing for a while, Lin Moyu had a clear understanding. The space where the Soulfire rune is located should be an independent space created by the ancient battlefield's rune array.
If this space has not collapsed, it means that the ancient battlefield's rune array still exists. The rune array of the ancient battlefield is still maintaining this independent space.
Lin Moyu had a thought. He realized that he might have another way to enter the core of the ancient battlefield. 1601 1601. Chapter 1601. The key to entering the main rune space. The rune array is the core of the entire ancient battlefield, and there are 2 key components to the rune array. One is the main rune, Lin. The main rune is a necessary condition for the rune array to function properly. The second component is the Soulfire rune within the rune array. The main rune must be connected to the Soulfire rune. If the main rune collapses, the space where the Soulfire rune is located will naturally collapse as well. Now, the independent space still exists, and although the Soulfire rune inside has been damaged, it can still perform some basic functions. This indicates that the main rune has not been severely damaged. At the same time, the power of the main rune can still communicate with the outside world, maintaining basic operations. This means there must be a path to enter the area where the main rune is located. Lin Moyu had already explored all the passages inside the ancient battlefield, using a large number of skeleton god warriors, leaving no corner unchecked. Therefore, this path is not inside but outside, on the surface of the ancient battlefield. Lin Moyu left the internal passages and returned to the surface of the ancient battlefield. He began to carefully examine the battlefield. A desolate and bleak atmosphere permeated the entire battlefield, with ruins and piles of rubble everywhere. Even if a meteor from the starry sky struck it, it wouldn't cause even a slight damage to the ancient battlefield, leaving no mark. But now, the ancient battlefield was full of huge pits and cracks in the ground. These were all created by fists, palms, and weapons. If the ancient battlefield were not sturdy enough, far surpassing ordinary stars, it would have been shattered long ago. The material that Lin Moyu couldn't damage even with all his strength was riddled with holes, indicating how intense the battle was at that time. Lin Moyu flew over the ancient battlefield, comparing it with the array diagram in his mind, searching for the entrance. During this time, evil spirits attacked, but the pure white sword energy swept through the starry sky, wiping out all the evil spirits. Mere evil spirits could no longer interfere with Lin Moyu. After flying around the ancient battlefield several times, he still couldn't find the corresponding entrance. Another evil spirit attacked, only to be easily killed by the skeleton god general.
Evil spirits? Rune Blade.
Lin Moyu suddenly remembered that Qiao Zhengyuan had mentioned finding a previously undiscovered passage in the ancient battlefield. From there, he had obtained the Rune Blade. A previously undiscovered passage must be very hidden. Unfortunately, he was targeted by an evil spirit at that time and had to escape, so he didn't remember the exact location. But it didn't matter. Evil spirits were the best guides. In the vision of the undead, evil spirits appeared as soul fires filled with impurities. Normal soul fires, regardless of strength, are pure and clean. Even the soul fire of a small flower is pure. But the soul fire of an evil spirit is filled with impurities, appearing as a kaleidoscope of colors, very dazzling. The skeletons conducted a carpet search in the ancient battlefield, and in the vision of the undead, evil spirits had nowhere to hide. Soon, Lin Moyu found a place where a large number of evil spirits were gathered. This was where Qiao Zhengyuan had found the Rune Blade. With his 6th level true god cultivation, he would have died if he hadn't escaped. The skeleton god general rushed ahead, following the trajectory in the vision of the undead, and found the place where the evil spirits were clustered. Then sword energy swept through, eliminating all the evil spirits. This passage was located at the bottom of a crack. The crack was 10,000 meters deep, forming a large canyon, a sword mark. That sword strike had almost split the ancient battlefield in half. Even now, Lin Moyu could still feel the sword energy left on both sides of the canyon. The sword energy had not dissipated after countless years, indicating how terrifying the owner of that sword was. By comparing the terrain, Lin Moyu found the position where the sword mark corresponded to the rune array. That sword strike had not only almost split the entire ancient battlefield but also cut the rune array in half. Although the runes had suffered many damages, this sword strike accounted for a large part. Feeling the sword energy, Lin Moyu flew to the bottom of the canyon. Following the steps of the skeleton god general, he found a cave hidden behind the rubble. The skeleton god general had already rushed into the cave, and the evil spirits inside had been eliminated. This passage was actually part of the rune array and was very close to the central main rune. Moreover, this passage had only one entrance at the bottom of the canyon. Previously, he hadn't thought of this, so he missed it. Finally, at the end of the passage, he saw a stone wall. The stone wall, like other parts of the passage, was covered with runes. But Lin Moyu noticed its special nature. The runes on it were different from those in other places. They were somewhat similar to the runes on the floor of the previous room. These runes represented one meaning, door. Behind it, there was space. Judging by the terrain map, the space behind it was where the main rune of the ancient battlefield's rune array was located. The method to enter was also simple, the same as in the room, using the corresponding rune blade to open it. It was the rune blade that Qiao Zhengyuan had obtained. Lin Moyu felt a bit speechless. He had returned the rune blade to Wang Xing, and now it should be in the hands of the Wang family. He hadn't expected this, but it wasn't a big problem. He just needed to go to the Wang family to get the rune blade back. Moreover, he also needed to find Wang Xing to inquire about joining the Rune Master Association. The Rune Master Association had a lot of information about Rune Masters which he needed. Some information wasn't available in the Human Emperor network, even if you paid for it. It could only be found within the Rune Master Association. When learning about runes, Lin Moyu had already decided to join the Rune Master Association. Leaving the ancient battlefield, he flew towards the 12301 star system. The main rune was something he had to see. On 12,301 to 1 star, the Wang family was the undisputed overlord. Although they also had to act within the rules of the Human Emperor network, they had some privileges. After all, they were the administrators of this star system. Moreover, in the higher regions, there was another Wang family, the main family, which was extremely powerful. In the Wang family, Wang Xing had already returned. He had reported the previous events in detail and handed over the rune blade. In his eyes, the previous matters involving the Liu and Xiao families were trivial. Only the unknown God King had impressed him. He occasionally thought about it over the past few days.
He hasn't joined the Rune Master Association yet. If I can become his introducer, I might gain some benefits. He went to the ancient battlefield. I wonder when he will return.
Wang Xing was drinking tea in his courtyard when he suddenly heard a voice.
Brother Wang!
Looking up, he saw someone watching him from 10,000 meters in the air.
It's him!
Wang Xing was surprised. He had just thought about him and he had returned. Surprise aside, he was also shocked. The Wang family was protected by an array, not a defensive array, but one that concealed their presence. From outside the array, one couldn't see inside. But Lin Moyu had easily found him, making him question Lin Moyu's strength. Was this guy really just a god king? Wang Xing flew up to Lin Moyu with a smile. Very polite.
I was just wondering when you would return. Come down and have some tea. Let's talk.
1602 1602